Hello and welcome to another session of the speaking module of this course in English. We have been talking about various occasions when we make formal presentations. We spoke about reports, numbers, describing things, appearing at interviews, conducting interviews, etc. Today, we are going to talk about another equally important or perhaps more important occasion when many of us are called to speak in English. This is group discussion, or as the acronym by which it goes, the abbreviation by which it goes, it's a GD. How to participate in a GD, how to conduct a GD. Many companies, many institutions today call a lot of candidates for a job, for a scholarship, for a particular position, and ask them to talk about things among themselves, and then they decide. An observer from among the group of employers observes you, and they decide who among these candidates, on the basis of your performance, your behavior, the way you conduct yourself and the way you get along with others, they check and conclude who among the observed participants may be their best prospective employee. Group discussion therefore has become very popular as a method of recruitment, as a method of work, as a method of finding solutions to problems, as a way of reaching consensus on otherwise not such a straightforward issues in many places, including industry, academia, universities, schools and colleges, etc., etc. So let us see what problems we can expect and encounter while appearing at or conducting a group discussion, and how we can overcome these problems. Next, as I said, it's a very popular tool to reach consensus. It's a very popular tool also to judge people. No matter how wonderful you are by yourself, you hardly ever work only by yourself. Unless you are in a very different and extraordinarily different situation where you don't require colleagues, friends, family, that's another matter. But ordinarily speaking, a good number of ordinary people work with other ordinary people. But together these ordinary people make great groups, and that happens because of methods like group discussion. It helps you reach consensus on straightforward issues where there is no contention, where there is no divergence of opinions, where there is no differences, disagreements, but also on those issues where you have more than one opinion, whether you have divergences of opinions, where you have to take many different kinds of groups along. How do you do that? Should we continue learning and teaching online? Many people would say yes, there are points in favor, and many people would say no, there are points against. But in the end, as a manager, as the head of a team, somebody has to decide, and that decision happens to come out best when it's the group's decision. When as a group we decide that doing so, doing not so may be the best way. Okay? But these things are easier said than done. In a group, none of us remains the same person. We change, Somebody has defined character as something which shows when you are all by yourself. Your character reveals itself when you are alone, and but your personality reveals itself when you are in a group. You may be excellent individually, or you may be a villain, but in a group, none of us remains the same person. We change. We become either very cooperative, very helpful, very congenial, amiable, name those wonderful adjectives, or the other way around. We become irritable, irritating, irritated, quarrelsome, overgrabbing, hungry for attention, jealous, envious, cross-talking, arrogant, get distracted easily. A lot of variety of things happen. Okay? But go to the next. You see, here, maybe this is imaginary. Perhaps it's not from real life. But as I have been asking, is it so unreal? Does it not happen in many groups where one person goes on regardless of how others feel? Pardon me, I have also been going on, But in a group of equals where everyone should get a fair chance to express themselves, to share their opinion, to ask and answer questions, it can be very bad having someone like my friend over there who seems to have been talking for all the time since the group met. Okay? But this happens. All groups, or many groups at least, have people who speak longer than they ought to, have people who speak much less than they ought to, and who also have people who speak only for about as long as their turn permits them to do. Okay? This diversity makes a group, and we have to learn how to manage ourselves and our colleagues in a group. Next. This was a group discussion. 4 people observed by a teacher or a proctor, engaged in deciding if conventional method of learning, sitting in a classroom, is good, or the new ways of learning online is good. Which of these is good, or which of these is better, what we should do. And they have arguments for and against, but you may have noted that there are some good things, like they allow each other to say things, they make new points. There also are a couple of bad things, like someone speaking rapidly. I wonder if we would have understood that gentleman sitting on the second chair from the observer's right, from the viewer's right. Okay, if we would have understood him without subtitle. The lady is not too slow either. Actually, the lady appeared to be impatient, and she had to be reminded to let the other speaker complete before she could join in. So, this is a typical group where you may have seen some good practices, some not so good practices, and we can learn from them. There are lots of stuff, both audio and visual, and in terms of other kinds of sites, just bullet points mentioning good practices and not so good practices in group discussion. You can look at some of them, as well, of course, as attending these sessions, and then you can have some of your own practice, and you will be very comfortable. You will see that group discussion is no longer a problem with you or for your friends, because you may be in a position to help them. Okay, so let's go forward. Next, what are the advantages of a GD? We must understand that a GD or a group discussion makes a team. We are all, as a noted public speaker in India said, we are all marvelous people individually, but do we make a great team? Okay, so a GD, a group discussion, helps you evolve, emerge, or form yourselves as a team. A good team, a good GD promotes good behavior. What is good behavior? What is good group behavior? Okay, good group behavior, number one, the first trait of a good group behavior is respect for one another. A strong sense of mutual respect. I would go to the extent of saying a strong sense of respect for all colleagues, without expecting anything. These are my colleagues. I cannot do well unless they do well, and therefore I must do my best to respect them and to motivate them. They should feel happy having me with them. That's the kind of attitude that one ought to have. So, a good GD therefore encourages good group behavior. And what is good group behavior? It draws forth cooperation among members. It facilitates, it promotes exchange of ideas. Okay, it leads to otherwise you are different individuals, somebody from computer applications, another person from computer science, yet another person from electronics, a fourth person from logistics management, and yet another person from communications division. How do you make a good team? But you may, because you are all specialists in your domain, and if you come together and see points of view of others as well as your own, then that makes a great group. Then you understand and you do what is missing, what the group would need. It's four walls. One wall, no matter how strong, doesn't make a house. But four walls, very strong themselves and becoming stronger when they touch each other, when they meet at the corner and support a superstructure, then they themselves become unbreakable, and the roof they support also becomes unbreakable. So that's the metaphor of a team. A team becomes a team when all its group members keep the team goal, the team spirit above themselves. So it encourages, it promotes formation of functional groups. It also promotes learning. You learn about yourselves, you learn from others, you learn from your colleagues. Your colleague might not be an expert in your area of interest, or might be, but there are things your colleagues know, your friends, your family do that you do not. Okay? And finally, individually we only have so much, maybe 100 rupees, 200 rupees, 200,000 rupees. None of us has unlimited amount of money or unlimited amount of energy or ideas or knowledge. But when we become 1 plus 1, when we become 11 plus 1, when we become 1,000 million plus 1, then we become a still stronger team, and we utilize our resources best in the optimal manner, getting best returns from available resources. That is why GD is a very popular way of uh, learning, teaching, behavior, language, and performance. Next, some people are arrogant. How would you know? Nobody writes on the breastplate here, look, I am arrogant, I am arrogant. Nobody does that. But just as some people are humble, humble people will never tell you they are humble. Arrogant might even tell you they are arrogant. They are proud. But humble people will never tell you they are humble. So how do you know who is humble, who is arrogant? Their language is typically I-centered. When I was your age, I used to work 26 hours a day. Well, you might have been great. Do you expect everyone to be a mirror image of yourself? Your team is what it is. Tell them something they can do, But an arrogant person would always tell you, in my opinion, we must do it now. We must not wait. Or such a person would not wait for others to finish. They may talk out of turn. Okay? No matter who is speaking, if this person feels like saying something, he or she, they would. Okay? Taking long time. You have been given only so much. Why do you take so long? And then, insensitive, always preaching to others. No, you should do this. You should not speak that way. You should speak that way. Okay? You should have seen this. You did not, Always finding fault with others. None of us is perfect. None of us is perfect. God created us all, and God created us not without some flaws in our perception, in our constitution. But God also gave us some strengths. So we should bring our strengths into play, and we should recognize the strengths of others. And it is with their strengths we can overcome our weaknesses, just as with our strengths they would overcome their weaknesses. It is not that one is only weak and another person is only strong. It doesn't happen that way. So, an arrogant person always presents oneself as a superior. Or it is nothing for me, I could have done it. I could have taken 100 kilograms in a hanky and could have thrown it 2 kilometers away. Something as ridiculous as that. They can be very, rude in speech. They'll say, I see it. Keep quiet. They can immediately tell others, no, shut up, allow me to finish. Not even allow me. I'll speak first. Okay. Very, very clearly visible traits. Okay. On the, right, all of these points, please look at them. Okay. These are the examples. You will often see them. People say, no, your points are invalid. Okay. Your argument doesn't make any sense. Don't say that. If you really mean that that argument doesn't make sense, there are ways of saying that. Can you say it differently? Can you come again? Sorry, we don't understand you. Can we say it this way? Rather than say, no, your argument doesn't make any sense. And don't use informal words like gonna, wanna, or the slangs. All colleges and all groups of young people have slangs. They are wonderful within your group, but not when you are in a formal situation. And never use pronoun before you have used noun. I told her, who is her? Okay, she is bringing it. Who is she? You should better say Aishwarya is bringing it. Okay, Ramakant is bringing it. Put it that way, and then you can say, well, he has already started. I know. He called me before, leaving for office. Okay, go on. Similarly, body language, your dress, go on. Okay, this is the language of team spirit. Language of cooperation, collaboration. Shall we? Can we? Shall we try this idea? Shall we find out? Can we wait? Okay. Should we try in this direction? Please permit me, or may I suggest something? No, you first, please. I can wait. Okay. Or speaking in small sentences, conversation, slow enough so that everyone understands you, speaking within the available and allotted time, okay, remembering names and points, so that you really don't have to ask anyone every time, pardon me, what did you say? That leaves a very bad taste. That takes not only more time than available, it also indicates that you are not attentive. We can avoid these things. Next. Where can we go wrong? These are the places. Okay. In a group, never say do this, do that. Better say, use question sentences. Shall we do this? Should we do this? Is it all right to look at it this way? Or will it not be better looking at it the other way? Okay. And can and may rather than will. Somebody says, who can do it? And if you say, I will do it, it's all right, but it's not very polite. You can say, well, I can do it. Can I have a chance? Even if you are sure you can do it, speak it this way, So, use pronouns that promote group identity. Say we, us, our company, It's for us to decide where we want to be 5 years from now or 3 years from now, rather than it is for me to decide. It is for the company to decide. Okay. If you have to say company, say our company. Can our company be there in 3 years? Next. So this is the language of respect. Rather than say things like even women can come, as if you are making a great concession to women on the team, or even people from South India can try speaking Hindi. Why? You would much more respectfully say all sections, all of us can try. That includes all regions, all genders, all castes, classes, communities, cultures, everyone. But language of disrespect, as I said, well, even English teachers can come to this meeting. Let's do something for poor people. Well, women should get due respect. Why speak this way? You can simply say, everyone can try. All who are interested are welcome. Okay, let's work for everyone, rich or poor. Okay, let's give a chance to everyone, men or women. Okay, so when you don't use or use in a limited manner polite language in words like shall, could, would, may, might, feel, seem, then if when you don't use these things, you might in English sound rude. Exceptional situations apart, the language of good social behavior involves these words, okay, which will come to you not only by getting these words by heart, but by having a proper attitude, that is the attitude of respect, attitude of finding out. Next. Okay. These are the examples of language of respect, asking for opinions, or how you can give your opinion. Next. Look at all this. Next. Etiquette, very important, in a group. We must know how to stand, how to sit, how to talk. I have not spoken about dress, etc., because I believe that all of us know that on any formal situation, at any formal situation, we should be properly dressed, quote unquote properly. So neither should we shout nor should we whisper. We should be easily audible, visible to all. It will be wonderful if you participated in a group discussion with your friends, with your colleagues, and observed the entire group and make a note of, or if you make a recording, then afterwards observe what were the good things that were done, good practices, what was done which were not so good. Okay. Also identify, find some examples of language, a language that you may avoid, and examples of language that you may at times yourself like to use. We learn both ways. And then once you have done these things, then you can share your work with your friends and with your reviewers, your teachers. And if you do this once in a while, a few times, you'll become a star at any GD. Okay? Thank you very much and good luck.